We are about to go live. There we go. Welcome to Podcast Answers, the show where I help you start and grow your podcast, answering any questions along the way. Today, guys, is a great topic that we've not talked about in a long time. If you've seen one of my Instagram reels recently, you've seen me talk a little bit about the cone of cleanliness. And that's right, today we're talking about the cone of cleanliness and what that means for you, what that means for your creativity, things like that. So the cone of cleanliness is not necessarily if you are doing just an audio podcast, but if you are doing a video podcast, the cone of cleanliness comes into play a lot, because essentially what it is, and if you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, you're seeing that I have just a spot in front of my camera that's fairly clean. I have a few decorative items, but for the most part, it's fairly clean. However, if you were to look around my studio, there's literally stuff everywhere. There's boxes sitting around, there's cups, there's extra equipment, there's a couple backpacks, there's just a lot of stuff that's sitting around, kind of cluttering up my space. And it hinders your creativity. It limits you. While you don't see that on screen, I see that here in studio. And there's benefits to cleaning up. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of cleaning up your space for productivity. Both your physical space that you're sitting in, as well as your digital space too, because your digital space matters and your digital space will hinder your creativity also. So let's get into this topic right now. So what are some of the benefits of cleaning up your space for your productivity? So it's going to reduce your distractions. A clutter-free environment helps you focus better on the tasks without visual noise or competing for your attention. If you've got less in your peripheral, you're going to have reduced distractions. You're going to be, when you're trying to be creative, there's less things that are pulling you away and pulling your attention away and begging for you to go spend time with other items. It's also going to improve your mental clarity too. An organized space promotes clearer thinking and reduces mental overwhelm, making it easier to prioritize and make decisions. So it's going to help your mental clarity, especially when you're trying to come up with topics for your podcast, topics for your social media, topics for all of the different things that you're going to be producing. A better clean space is going to allow you to have that mental clarity and just be better off in the long run and help you to be more creative. It's also going to create time savings for you too, because when everything has its place, you spend less time searching for items and more time being productive. So again, it's going to save you time because you're not going to have to go, where was that adapter that I had? You're going to know where it's at when you need it, because it's going to be better organized. It's going to be just a better overall experience for you. And it's going to help you also lower your stress levels too, because a cleaner workspace creates a cleaner atmosphere, reducing anxiety, helping you feel more in control. It's going to make your space feel like a place that you want to be, as opposed to a place where you're just kind of feeling overwhelmed and so much stuff is kind of just taking over your space. So it's going to lower your stress levels and enhance your creativity too, because an orderly environment provides mental space for creative thinking and problem solving. I don't know about you, but when I go into a place where everything is organized, where I can lay my thoughts out, if I have a whiteboard, I can write my thoughts down on the whiteboard, and it's going to be easy for me to come up with topics and ideas and just be generally overall more creative than when I come into a space that's crowded and lots of things that I got to move before I actually become creative. It's also going to increase your motivation to starting your day in a clean, organized space can boost your energy and willingness to tackle large tasks. So it's going to help you actually be more motivated to produce the work. So that's your physical thing. Now, the benefits of keeping your digital space clean for productivity is faster file access. So if you're keeping your computers, and again, these days, especially those of us who are creating content, whether that be podcasts or YouTube streams or whatever, are doing a lot on our computers, right? We are doing everything on the computers. We are doing everything that computers are really the way of life right now. Everything that we do is based on a computer. So it's going to help you have faster file access. Organized folders and clean desktop mean you can locate different documents and files and applications quickly without wasting time searching. I know for me on a Mac, I don't have hardly anything on my taskbar when it's not running. I don't have shortcuts to programs and things like that. I go in and I hit Command Space and I type what I want to find and open up. So if I want to type and open up Zoom, I hit Command Space Zoom and it comes up. I don't have a shortcut for Zoom on my desktop. Same thing with Ecamm. Same thing with anything that I'm using a lot of. I don't keep a whole lot in my start bar. And same thing with the desktop. I don't like having folders and files on my desktop because it just feels cluttered. Now, I know on a Mac you can hide that unless you're clicking on the desktop, and that helps. But for me, I don't keep anything on my desktop. I barely keep things on my desktop. The things that are on my desktop are things that I literally access every time I'm on my computer. And it is, I think, one or two things. In transit, sometimes I put things there, but then I delete them as soon as they're done because I don't want to keep things on my desktop that have nothing to do with my everyday life. It also is going to improve your computer performance. If you remove unnecessary files, you're going to clearing your cache and uninstalling unused programs. It helps your computer run faster and more efficiently. Now, computers these days are super powerful. They are super, super strong. You know, you can get a fairly decent computer for a small price, but it still helps you to your computer to run faster if it doesn't have to process all of that stuff. It doesn't have to keep all of that stuff. It doesn't have to have all of the applications, the programs, the stuff that you're not actually using day to day. And we'll go through some of the topics down further. We'll talk a little bit later in this episode about how to get rid of stuff both physically and digitally to help reduce the clutter. It's also going to help reduce your mental clutter too, because a digital workspace that's clean is going to have fewer open tabs, less bookmarks, streamlined applications. It's going to help you not to be overloaded mentally too. I know when I have tabs open and I don't do so much in my browser, I tend to close the browser down every so often, so I keep all of that stuff clear. But on my phone, you shouldn't even see my phone. Like I have tabs upon tabs upon tabs open, things that I may actually go back to eventually. But I should not do that. I should close that out. It's going to help you also focus too, because when your desktop has less items and notifications popping up, it's going to distract you less. And so it's going to help you concentrate on your task at hand, whether that's producing podcasts or producing digital content or videos or whatever you're producing. Less is more. It's also going to help with easier backup and recovery too. If you, those of us who create things, like this is our project, this is our artwork, this is our files are what our art is. And so you need to have backup and recovery in case your machine crashes, but a better organized desktop and better organized file structure is going to help you to be able to find the things that you actually need to back up and restore when it comes down to time to actually do that. Now, it's also going to lower your stress too, because keeping everything digitally reduces the frustration and anxiety when working under deadlines. So again, it's going to be easier to find things. It's going to be better off in there. And it's also going to extend your lifespan of your machine too. Regular maintenance and cleanup can help your computer last longer by preventing system slowdowns and crashes. And we all know computers are not cheap these days, especially really good ones. Macs, they're not cheap. And so I know about you, but I want to keep my machine running its top physical thing, top that it can do for the longest that it can do. Now, here are some practical ways that we can clean up our physical space. Now, remember, we are talking about physical and digital space here, both your physical space where you're sitting, your desktop, your room, your tabletop, whatever it is that you have your computer and your mics and things on. But we're also talking about organizing your digital life too. So first, we're going to talk about practical ways to clean up your physical space. These are some things that you can take immediately now. The 1 minute rule, meaning that if something takes less than 1 minute to put away, do it immediately rather than letting it pile up. So if I'm done using an XLR cable and sits normally across the room in a box, go put it away right now. Don't let it accumulate to the end of the day, the week, the month. Do it now. I know for me, when things start to get more cluttered and more cluttered and more cluttered, it's hard to want to organize them because I know it's going to take all day to do. The second thing that we can do to help keep our physical space is clear flat surfaces. Start with your desk, counters, tables, removing anything that doesn't belong or isn't used daily. If you're not using it actively on your desktop, get rid of it on your space if it's flat. Don't let things pile up. The other thing you can do is use the 4-box method, meaning keeping items that you use regularly in a box. Have a box for donating and selling. Good condition, but used a little bit. Trash, broken things, unusable, get rid of them. Relocate. It belongs in another room, it belongs somewhere else. So you can keep those 4 boxes in your space and help you organize things. Again, those 4 boxes are keep, donate or sell, trash or relocate. And I know a lot of times computer equipment, that's hard to get rid of, hard to sell because you might use it later. But those things will help. You can also use an organization system. Designate homes for everything. Everything should have a specific place. Label containers and drawers if needed. I know it always helps me when I go into the kitchen at our church. The kitchen at our church has everything labeled. Literally everything. There's a drawer. It says knives, spoons, plastic spoons, soup bowls. Like there's a place for everything in our church kitchen. And that should be the same thing for you in your studio. Place everything, make everything have a home, make it neat and label it if you need to. Make sure it goes back to that same spot. Vertical storage can help too. Use shelves and pegboards and vertical organizers. Maximize the space and keep your surfaces clear. Because when your surfaces are clear, things feel less cluttered. Another way that you can organize is cable management. Use cable clips, ties, boxes, organization, cords and chargers, things like that. That's going to make your space feel clean. I know for me, this is probably one of my hardest things that I do. I just run cables wherever I need to get the data, the power, the whatever to. And I don't actually ever really organize them. I've got cables running everywhere. Again, you can't see that if you're watching the video because I have that cone of cleanliness. But I need to get better at my cable management because that will help clean your space up and make it feel more like a place that you can be creative. Get drawer dividers. Use organization drawers that have little dividers, places that you can put things in that have a space. So I have a little plastic cubby over here that's got 3 drawers in it, and I have different cables for different things. I have all of the little mic mounts, the things that screw in for different size containers and things like that, or different size microphones. As well as some USB cables. I just have a drawer for all of that. That's keeping it kind of maintained and open. Now, some of the maintenance habits that you can do to kind of keep your things maintained are the following. A daily 10-minute tidy. At the end of the day, do a quick cleanup. Reset your space for tomorrow. It can only take 10 minutes. So if you normally are done by 5:00 p.m., stop what you're doing at 4:50. And go and clean up. 10 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes. Another thing you can do is have a 1 in, 1 out rule, meaning that if you bring something new into your space, remove something old. This is critical because it's really easy to bring something into your space and then you need to find a place for it and you don't have a place for it and now what do? Well, you just have more and more and more stuff. No. 1 in, 1 out. You bring something in, you get rid of something. And some of the things that I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes are going to help you actually do some of that decluttering and getting rid of some of the things that you no longer need. And then the last thing is do a weekly purge. Set aside some time each week to remove items that you no longer need. We are all guilty of it, keeping things that we may use one day. Every week. take a few minutes, look around your space and say, what am I going to use? Am I really going to use that Ziploc bag of Keurig cups that has been sitting on my shelf for 3 years now? No, probably not. So go walk over and take it and throw it in the trash. Start small. Begin with one drawer, one corner, then trying to tackle everything at once. You're gonna, like I said earlier, you're gonna feel overwhelmed if you're trying to do everything and everything is so much work. Start small. Start with that little drawer. Organize that. Maybe even take some time away and then come back. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate the fact that you took that corner, that drawer, that little space and cleaned it up. Now work bigger and bigger and bigger until all of your stuff is clean. All of your office is clean. All of your studio is clean. Limit decorations. Keep only meaningful things that bring you joy or motivation. So I have a few items that are decorations in the back here that kind of just decorate my video visual. But I also have some things like a arcade game and a newspaper box and some other stuff in my studio that it's decorative, but it could be clutter. It's not really serving any purpose in my studio except for to clutter. So get rid of that. Create zones. Designate specific areas for activities, work, storage, personal items. So no, the reason you do this is because when you're coming into your area, your work, your brain knows what it's there for. It knows that when you're in your studio, it needs to be creative because you're going to be creating content. It's ready to go. It's ready to fire because you've created the zones for that. That specific studio is for your specific creativity. Also, use the 90-90 rule. If you haven't used something in 90 days and won't use it in the next 90 days, consider getting rid of it. Put it in one of your 4 boxes that we talked about earlier. In the keep, donate, trash, relocate. If you're not going to use it in 90 days and you're not going to use it in the next 90 days, get rid of it. Now, that's the physical space. We've talked about the physical space and practical ways that you can get rid of things in your physical space. Let's talk a little bit about digital space. Cleaning up your desktop. Move your files into organized folders. Put them in documents. Put them in there. Aim for a minimal or empty desktop with only essential shortcuts. Like I was saying, my desktop only has one shortcut on it, and it's folder to run a script to make that stoplight in the back do its thing. That's all I've got on my desktop. Everything else is in documents, and I keep things in there organized by different things. So I have a folder for podcasts. In that folder is each of my podcasts. There's also a folder for podcast clients because I do podcast editing. So I have a folder for each client that's in there and each of their podcasts. Within those folders, I have things like artwork, and I have a folder for raw audio, like things like their jingles and things like that. Then I have an episodes folder where each episode has its own space to keep organized. Keep your things organized. One of the things you can do to really stay organized is to delete duplicate files. I know for me, when I'm editing podcasts, I end up with lots of files sometimes that are duplicates that I don't necessarily need. When I export from my Rodecaster, I have files that are not necessarily duplicates, but blank. I have files that are recorded for each and every mic channel, and even if I'm not using them. So one of the things I can do to clean up is get rid of those files because I'm never going to use them. The other thing is you can archive old folders. Get things off of your computer. By doing that, you're going to want to also create a backup a couple different places. You can do that in the cloud. You can do that on a physical hard drive. You can do both. In fact, you should do both. But go through once a month. Get rid of all of your episode files in your podcast like folder. So for me, I have a lot of episodes in my podcast folder for podcast answers. One of the things that I could do is hook up an external drive, move all of those off, also put them up to the cloud. So that way I have those files if I need them again later. Another thing you can do to clean up your digital life is empty your downloads folder. Raise your hand if you're guilty of this. My downloads folder has everything that I've ever downloaded in it. because I might need it again, right? No, you're not going to do it. Empty it. If you need to keep it. But go and organize it and put it in the places where you're going to need it. Not, oh, well, I know I downloaded a file for this podcast at one point, but I don't know where it's at. It's either in that podcast folder or it's in the downloads folder. Get rid of it. Empty your downloads folder and use it just for downloads that week. Get rid of it at the end of the week. Uninstall your unused applications and programs. If you haven't used them in the last 6 months and you're probably not going to use them, get rid of them. It's just taking up space. Limit your startup programs. I know a lot of times, and I see this a lot, mostly on Windows, but when you start a machine up, apps open, do they need to be open? Do you need to have Zoom open? Do you need to have Notion open? Do you need to have Evernote open? Do you need to have Spotify open every time the machine opens? That takes forever for your machine to start up then, guys. Everything that's in your startup folder for your computer is going to start up at boot time. And that takes a lot of time and space, and your computer slows down because it can't open all of those things at once. It has to prioritize it. So it opens things that slows it down. Those of you who have cloud storage, get rid of some of the unnecessary files from Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, etc. Get rid of it. Organize things just like you would on your computer. Get rid of things you don't actually need. Do a weekly digital cleanup. Schedule 15 minutes each week to get rid of and maintain your organization that you've created. And then take it one step further and monthly do a deep dive, a deep clean. Once a month, do a thorough review of your files, apps, and storage. Do you need them? No, get rid of them. And make sure you're doing a naming convention so you know exactly where things are at. Guys, this is a huge thing, and I would encourage you to take some time. Now is the perfect time to do this. This is Christmas. This is time to relax and spend some time. You have a few extra minutes. Take that time, go out, do the things I talked about here, organize it. I challenge you this week, do these things. Implement one of the things that I've talked about here, just one. But start cleaning up. You're going to find yourself a more creative creator. You're going to be more apt to do this thing of creation, whether it be podcasts or videos or live streams, if your space is clean. So go out and do that. Guys, this is going to be the last episode until the beginning of the new year. Next year is Christmas. I want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas. I've enjoyed each and every one of you. Thank you for listening. But this is going to be the last episode until after Christmas. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I'll be back after Christmas. But stay tuned. I will be back. Don't worry. If you've gotten any value out of this podcast episode, consider giving back some value. If we were meeting at a coffee shop and I went over all of the tips that I went over today, would you pick up the tab? If so, consider giving me a few bucks. Whatever you feel the value of the content was that you received from me, go to podcastanswers.com/support and give back a few bucks. I appreciate it. It helps keep me encouraged and keep me going, as well as just allows me to support this podcast. So guys, have a safe week and good luck cleaning up your space. I will see you in the new year. Merry Christmas. Have a great week.